What you say? That you only meant well, well, 'cause you did. What you say? That it's all for the best.
Hi, welcome to part 2 of my advanced train tutorial. Today we'll be covering part 2, which is moving the chassis. We'll be implementing vector force and creating a local controller script. Last video we were doing chassis design, but I am done that, so just write done here, so just know we're done. We'll be working on part 2. Yeah, so I actually gotta change this to linear velocity instead of vector force, because the reason why I don't like using vector force is because it's relying heavily on Roblox physics, which is sort of goofy at sometimes. So I'll be using linear velocity so we can artificially make realistic acceleration, deacceleration, braking, etc. Next video we will be covering input control, and we'll just be creating the server controller script and linking keybinds. So yeah, I'm gonna move create server controller script up here. Just gonna change this to testing. So we just be testing with the server controller script, and for part 3 we'll just be finishing it. So just create a server controller script so we can actually test out the train with its linear velocity, so you don't have to wait till part 3 to see the results. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed last video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this series. So I'm gonna start part 2. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that intro. I'll just be starting with the scripting. So I have the chassis right here. I'll just move it so I can edit it without having to deal with the tracks. So like I said, I'll be switching to linear velocity. It's basically the same thing as vector force, except few minor differences. So just attach it to the same attachment I put as it in the vector force. So I'll just so make sure you pay attention. I'm switching the velocity constraint mode to line instead of vector, so it moves in a straight line. Line direction, never seen this before, but probably doesn't matter. Relative to attachment 0. So if it's relative to the attachment, it's not relative to the whole world. So that way, if you turn, it will still be in that direction of the base. So let me move train back to here, just so I can test with linear velocity. I'll give it a line velocity of 50 and let's test. Okay, so if it's rotated like that, you just want to rotate it to the direction of the velocity, so that way it's facing forwards. I don't think I put enough force into it, so I'll just change the max force to 10,000. Should be working now. And as you can see, it is working. So yeah, now that we have the linear velocity working, I'll just rename the attachment to force attachment, just so we can differentiate between these attachments. I'll also rename this to front bogey attachment, and rename this one to back bogey attachment, just to differentiate the two. So let me move this outside of the track again. This time we'll be putting a vehicle seat. So we add vehicle seat into here, put it into chassis. Just rotate. Now, if you want to find which way it's facing forward, I just put a decal, and if it's the front, so right here, then that way I know which way the player is gonna sit. So just facing the front. I'll move this up a bit. Yeah, so I'll just call this driver seat. Now, of course, this chassis is sort of small, but if you have a train model, no one's gonna see the chassis, and you can just make it as big as you want, and still keep the same size for this. Okay, so we have our driver's seat. Now, we need to weld it to the base so it doesn't fall off. Sorry, I have a cold. Weld constraint. We weld it to the driver's seat. We weld it to the base so it does not slide around or anything. So now that we have the driver's seat, let's just create a script, and we'll just rename this local script inserter. Or no, I'll just call this server control. Yeah. We can change the name later. And I'll add a local script inside of it, as well as an object value, which we'll rename to train. No, we don't need to assign it a value. So let me show you how it works. We have our server control script, and we want to detect when the player sits down. So when the player sits down, we're going to insert this local script into it, so we can get the player's keybinds, input, and etc., as well as implementing UI. Speaking of UI, I'll add a screen GUI in here called train UI, and I'll call this local control. Just we'll paste it into the player's starter player scripts, and it'll just be able to control it. So yeah, it's just easy to handle and more robust. I don't know what to call it. So let's create server control. Let me check in on. So yeah, this is my train system I've been working on. Let me just check the local control. So we want to detect when the player sits down. So first, let's create a variable for the seat. Script.parent. We do seat dot changed connect a function, and then we get the changed. We want to see if there's a player in the seat, so we do if seat dot occupant not equal nil. Then check. We create a variable for the player. A local player equals seat dot parent dot occupant. Or no, seat dot occupant. So seat's occupant is right over here, and it is the humanoid of the player. So we can get the character, and there's a function to get the player. So game.players player equals game.players get player from character, and to get the character we need to do seat.occupant.parent. Now we will obviously want to check if there's actually a player, so we do f player. Then now if there's a player, we just want to clone the local controller script. Let me unenable it so it doesn't run anything. So we just do local control script equals script.localControl clone. Now we want to parent this to the players, starter players, to the player's local starter GUI or starter player scripts or starter character scripts, but cloning it to the player UI because obviously gonna add UI later. So we just do control script dot parent equals player dot starter dot player GUI. So just clones that. We'll also enable it. Control script dot enabled equals true. Also just get rid of this variable because we're gonna add another script here, so it's not nil. Also, let's create a variable right here. Local is script equals false. So we can just check if there is a script or not. So if is script equals false, then this is script equals true. Okay. Also, yeah, we need to assign the value. Control script dot train equals, let us create a variable for the train. Local train equals script.parent.parent.parent script.parent.parent.parent control script.train.value equals train. Just ignore this, it doesn't matter. It's just a warning, but it won't change anything. So we just add a control script, destroy, and is script equals false. So when I hop into the seat, it should add the local control script into my starter UI. Let me just anchor this so I can test it. Okay, so let me check my starter. It doesn't check output first. Okay. Check players, new developer, player GUI, and as you can see, I have my local control script, and inside it has the value of my train. So now that we see the local control works, not focus. Let's not use the keybinds W and S for the train right now. We'll just use the throttle input from here. So throttle and steer. No, we'll just use throttle. So just forget about server control and local control, and we'll create another script, and we'll call it train handling, or train Excel. No, train. What I name this? Throttle. Just name it throttle. So yeah, we want to get the seat, so local seat equals script.parent. Also, I'm making this code up from scratch, so if I have any errors, don't blame it on me. So let's create another variable for train, which is script.parent, parent.parent, local linear velocity equals train.chess. Forgot to add the equal sign. Linear velocity equals train dot chassis dot base dot linear velocity. Okay, so what we want to do first is check if the seat has changed. So local, so seat get property change signal throttle. So when the throttle changes, we create a new function and we get the throttle. So get property change signal throttle connect function. First let's do, then we can check if the throttle is above, equal to 0, or less than 0. So if seat dot throttle is bigger than 0, else if seat dot throttle is less than 0, or else if seat dot throttle equals to 0. And I'm just this is just the testing, create a server controller script. It's just a testing part to implement linear velocity. So if seat.throttle is bigger than 0, that means you're pressing W. If seat.throttle is less than 0, that means you're pressing S. And this means pressing nothing. So let's start with the actual coding. So if seat.throttle is seat.throttle is more than 0, you just do linear velocity dot line velocity. Actually no. How did I do it before? Open from Roblox. I just haven't used this throttle kind in a long time. So let me check my old main system, which is basic train script. It's in here. So this is from my old train scripting video. Just create a fucking roller coaster. Yeah. I don't know why I made bogeys like that, but I did. So check the script. Vehicle.changed. Okay, we just create a repeat, right? So repeat until seat.throttle is until not seat.throttle bigger than 0. Okay, Roblox. You'll see that throttle is bigger than 0, or see that throttle is equal to 0. So we can add the linear velocity dot line velocity equals linear velocity dot line velocity plus, let's say, 1. We can add a limit to how fast it goes. I won't do it. I'll create a data folder. So folder, just rename this to data. Add a number value. We'll just call this max throttle. That way it's easier to change. Add a number value again. Add a max throttle back. So just add +1, or let me create a data. Local data equals train dot chassis. Local train dot chassis dot data, and we can just do or data dot max throttle dot value is bigger or equal to max. Now if did it the wrong way, if linear velocity dot line velocity is bigger or equal to the max throttle. So nope, put this wrong, put this down here. Just copy and paste this. It's S. Just do -1, and you just do this until linear velocity dot line velocity is equal to 0. Or no, I won't focus on the acceleration. I'll just do this. So if it's -1, just change this. Max throttle back. If it so if the also change this. If linear velocity dot line velocity is let's do -20. Just do 20 here as well. Check this. If velocity dot linear velocity is bigger or equal to negative max speed, bigger or equal to negative data dot max speed. Okay. Also add a weight, so task.weight 0.1 and task.weight 0.1. Also want to check it for seat.throttle. You want to check all of this once more, like this. And oh no, we can just get rid of this. Do the same thing to here. Except we check if it's a negative, and it should work. Let me unanchor this. and move it back onto the tracks. So let's test it. Actually, no. I gotta change the linear velocity back to 0. And I'll up the max force to like 5,000. Hopefully it works. I'll be checking the output. Oh. Okay, it looks like I figured out what wasn't working. It was because I didn't change this to the opposite of this. Same goes for this. So if you want to copy these values, go right ahead. I'll also be pasting this script as well as this script in the comments. So yeah, I'll just be showing you. Turns out I'm really dumb because I haven't used the default throttle, seat throttle, in a long time. As you can see, it's accelerating and it's deaccelerating. So yeah, it works. And you can see the max throttle is 20, and the max throttle back is also 20. So you can see it's also the same. For this, it will display 20 and minus 20. So yeah. I'll just test it one more time just to show you. So the max throttle is 20. You can make it less than 20. It's also shaking, but you can make the chassis massless and it should fix it. Or make the bogies thicker. But yeah, overall it's working. So I'll call this video to an end. You can just mark this down as done. And next part we'll be working on the input control. We'll be linking the keybinds and as well as changing the throttle, because this is a really shitty way to actually code this. So yeah, I'll also show you my train driving tech thing, and don't know if I want to make a tutorial on the thing where it uses switches and stuff and throttle sticks to actually make it work. I have shared this in a few different Discord servers, but I don't know if anybody wants to do this because I don't think it's that popular. So yeah, see, I have my ignition panel. I'll turn it off in case it's too loud, but it accelerates with the throttle. So yeah, has a throttle stick and has a brake throttle. It's fairly okay with turns. Shut the brake. So the brake just slows this down, and yeah. I don't know if this is a type of train chassis you want me to do, or just with a regular W and S acceleration, because this is Roblox is bugging out, but this is a fairly complicated thing to do. I'll just stick with the W and S. If you guys want me to make a tutorial on even more advanced train system, I'll do it. But I'll just call this video to an end. Thank you for watching.